Speaking of internet activity, Jim Norton, there was some discussion of you mainly, I guess you and I, but pretty much you on the Twitterverse this morning.
You know, it's funny. I'm really irritated. So let's address a couple of things.
Okay.
Because Opie would rather go by what people are saying on Twitter, which is a good way to do things when you've been broadcasting for all these years. Just listen to what people say. Clear one thing up. I never once said my stand-up was hurt by Opie himself. I said my draw was not what it used to be because the radio show I was on, which I was 50% of, people didn't listen to us. There was not as many listeners, and they weren't enjoying it. And it reminded them of what it used to be and what it no longer was. So,
and you're saying that not to blame Opie, but to say
no, I'm 50% of it.
Right.
Of course not.
Right.
I'm not an adult who blames other people for things I fail at. Mm-hmm. So if I'm not doing well, so to clear that up, of course I'm not blaming Opie Radio. I mean, that would be psychotic.
Right.
But the show I was on, which let's be real honest, a lot of our hardcore fans didn't enjoy. They didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm half of that. So that's what I attribute to part of it. I never said it's Opie's fault. I mean, I'm not a fucking mental patient to blame someone else for my own. But the reality is, if not as many people are listening to the radio show, and the ones that are not enjoying it the way they used to, the radio relationship you have with people, it's different. It's not like a regular, people get really invested in you. That's why they love you so much, or they get so angry at you, because there's a deeper level of investment. So we didn't have that anymore. There was not the same reaction from fans. There was not the same defense of us from fans. You know, it was a totally different thing because the show wasn't that good. We had great moments, but it just wasn't the same. So that was what hurt, not Opie Radio. And there was something else I had wanted to address too. There was one other thing I wanted to address. I don't remember.
Well, he said that you were lying about the afternoons.
I'm not sure how to respond to that. Why would I make that up? Where would I get that from? He's the one who mentioned it to me. And then Tim Sabian was talking to me about it. I remember having these conversations. You were here at this time.
Yes. Yes. And I remember. And it wasn't a matter of Opie saying, we have to do the shows in the afternoon or I'm not doing it. But there was a conversation of Tim saying, Opie wants to do afternoons. Yeah. Ant and Jim won't do it.
Yeah.
And I remember that. And I don't remember what was on the air and what was off the air anymore. Right. But I remember being in the room. It could have been before the show or it could have been on the air for conversations. And it wasn't heated. It wasn't like Opie was fighting with you guys on it, but he was saying, afternoons could be good, which I would associate as lobbying.
Lobbying for afternoons. He wanted to do them. And here's how you know he wanted to do them. And I'm not going to do this for an hour, addressing what somebody is saying on Twitter, because technically, this is still the radio show contract. This is still his radio show.
Yes.
That he could be on if he wanted to.
I wasn't supposed to be here. I'm not even supposed to be here today.
No, and Sam means in a much bigger sense. I said to Bob Eatman recently, Bob won't tell me. Bob had a weird job trying to negotiate with me and Opie, and I almost fired him a couple of times because I'm like, I wanted the mornings, and I knew Opie wanted mornings, and that was it. We both knew the other person wanted it. It wasn't a secret.
But it's like if you're doing a morning show and you're splitting up a morning show, both people are probably going to want to do a morning show.
Yeah, because Opie's saying he was pushed out. Hey, pal, I said put me on another station. I didn't want to be on the same station. I'm like, just put me somewhere else. I didn't expect them to squeeze Opie out for me. Stop getting your fucking news from Twitter.
It's also like, it's what we were saying yesterday, that this thing is designed so that it can be a move where everybody looks good, where all the fans kind of get what they want. You know what I mean? Where there's no pushing out because nobody took Opie's show away from him.
No, and it was never thought to me, especially with my low company self-esteem, that they were going to push Opie out for me. That's not what the thought was. The thought was, we don't want to work together anymore. It was a mutual thing. And I never once said I was a victim. We didn't want to work together. We weren't enjoying each other. Put me on another place. They didn't want to do that. because they want us on the same thing. Okay, cool. Put us on the same thing. I've explained why I didn't want to do afternoons, why I'd have to miss a lot more. So that was a point of contention. But I didn't control what the company did. I said, well, this is what I wanted. And when I said to Bob Eatman, hey, man, Opie, a while ago was the one who wanted afternoons. And Bob's like, well, yeah, I asked him about that, but he said that was a different time and things were a long time ago. Okay, fine. Think maybe your opinion changed, but you did want them at one point.
Right.
That's 100%. Anthony remembers that. I remember that. And I don't even think Opie's lying right now. Like, I don't think he's being a liar. It's like literally, I think that's the way he remembers it, in which case I'm throwing my hands up.
Remembers it incorrectly?
It's totally wrong. And by the way, and I never said that Opie had me taken out of the replays. I said he didn't want Uncle Paul in best ofs. That's what it was. He doesn't want Uncle Paul in best ofs. I never said he took my comedy out of the replays. Mm-hmm. So, but he's getting his news from Twitter. So I'm looking at this feed and I'm like, ugh.
The other thing I think that you wanted to say something about was the tweet that Opie was not happy with the fact that you had signed your contract a week or two ago and he had to find out from his agent.
Well, we're not that close.
Oh.
Why, seriously, why would I call you? First of all, it's not a secret. I assume Bob told him. It was some big secret. I just signed it. And then they had an issue with something they redlined it. Bob said they sent it back. It was like something that they didn't like the wording of that they had put. It had nothing to do with money. And maybe I could have just said, fuck you, I signed it. But it wasn't that big an issue. I'm like, all right, let him reword it. I said, Bob, I kind of want it like this and just see if they want it. And it was fixed. Technically, so I re-signed it. Don and I went out to dinner and I re-signed the contract. Mm-hmm. Did I have a case maybe where I would have put my foot down and said, no, maybe. But it wasn't that big a deal. So I was like, fix it. This way we're all happy. I'm not losing any money. It is what it is. But the fact that he's just getting his news from Twitter and feeling victimized and squeezed out. Look, man, and as far as me not calling you, no. Why would I call you? You know how I found out that my last show with Opie was happening last Thursday? I got an email. The last Opie and Jim show is this Thursday because Opie's taking off next week, meaning the week that we're in right now. Mm-hmm. That was how I found out. He didn't call me. He didn't say to me, hey, man, we're going to take this week off. I know we're both negotiating.
Because this week is still on your contract.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
It was the last Opie and Jim show is Thursday. And then I get the email that all of you get saying, I can't make it, family emergency. Okay. I sent him a text, hope your family's okay. He sent me back one, thanks, Jimmy. And then I see photos of him holding a giant fish. I'm not saying he may have even had an emergency. But that's where we're at. So all this nonsense and fucking 13-year-old girl shit on Twitter, just listen to what I said. It's in all the years you've known me. I'm not saying I'm the most stable guy, but I've never blamed anyone else for something I fail at. And if people aren't coming to see me the way they used to because of the radio show I'm on being a big part, I'm 50% of that. I'm half of the problem. We were not good together. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not totally Opie's fault. I was half of it.
Right.
And then he says, and I'm just looking at this, someone said if I had, hey, would you be mad if Jim went with Anthony? And he said if he had any integrity, that's what he'd have done 2 years ago.
What does that mean?
I don't know. But at least I didn't lie about defending him. You want to talk about integrity? You want to get nasty? I would suggest you just listen to the show instead of reacting on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good suggestion, especially because yesterday was not mean. You know what showed integrity?
When your coworker and your friend is fired and you go on his show and you don't lie to the fans and tell them, no, things were good, we're getting along. You know why people disliked me through all of that and they were angry at me through all of that and they still are? But nobody thought I didn't love Anthony. Nobody thought that I was indifferent to my coworker getting fired. No one thought that. Because I called into his first show and I went into his show as soon as I could. And I've gone on and I supported it and I promoted it. I didn't think that he had to have a fucking a decaf, a Sanka with me before. So if you're going to tweet stuff about people having integrity, I'm telling you, I was not nasty yesterday. You know, because as far as I'm concerned, he still works here and he's just take the deal. Unless the money's bad, unless it's horrible.
But if the money's bad, then But
don't blame me for that.
That has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not.
But I'm not, don't do this like you think that you're gonna fucking you don't want me start. If you want to get nasty, get nasty. I have not so far, because again, it's kind of a pussy move to get nasty while I'm on the radio, and he's still figuring things out. But stop getting your news from Twitter.
And as adults, there's no reason to get nasty right now. Nobody's done anything bad to anybody else.
You sit there on the air and tell me, well, we're not friends, which is okay. We weren't. I mean, he wasn't lying. We're not close. And then you wonder why I don't call you and say, come on, man. Jesus, what are you doing? Yeah. So that's where we're at right now. I never said Opie took me out of replays. I said Uncle Paul, he would get mad if Uncle Paul was in best ofs. He would. He didn't like it. And I never said that he hurt my comedy career. He was a supporter. He would always help promote the gigs, and had nothing to do with him being duplicitous. It was the fact that people weren't enjoying the radio show. That's a big part of it.
That the show wasn't working. I think you both made that clear on the air at different times.
Sure.
And the fact that the show wasn't working was the reason that your comedy money was down.
People, no, not the money, but less people wanted to come see me. Yeah,
right.
Less people wanted to come see me because there were less people listening.
Right.
And look, there's people who just think I stink. That's obviously that's always going to be happening in my career. But the fact is, when less people are listening, less people come to see you. Less people feel like I'm really enjoying what this guy's been doing lately. I'm really having fun listening to this guy and what he's been doing lately. But that's not...
And that's not said to blame anybody as much as it is to explain that you were ready to do a different show.
I have never once blamed anybody for one of my jokes bombing, or for me saying something that wasn't funny, or for me not... Never. Under any circumstances, no. So, Again, I hate to have to re-explain something because I'm dealing with someone who is literally responding on Twitter. But don't talk about integrity when it comes to Anthony. You really don't want to do that.
Right. We can take a couple calls, but we don't want to spend...
No, and I wasn't going to mention this today, but it's like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, we were kind of down with it, but then...
This victim shit about, like, we're sharks in the water. Brother, I said put me on another channel. I didn't say fuck Opie, squeeze Opie out.
Yeah.
We weren't going to work together. Oh, and as far as the 2 to 3 days a week thing, it absolutely was brought to my attention that he was trying to get me knocked down to 2 or 3 days a week. We had talked about me leaving, and I said yesterday, he did stop me in the hallway. And he goes, that's not what I was trying to do. Okay, never brought it up again. It was what he was trying to do. Just own up to it. I didn't think he wanted me unemployed, but he didn't want me on that radio show with him, and that's fine. I didn't want to be on that radio show with him. So we separated.
Right. But it's frustrating because it could theoretically be far more amicable, right?
It's not even that nasty at this point.
Right.
These little things are annoying me.
Right.
I know he's frustrated and pissed off, and I get that. But it's like, listen to the show and respond to what I said. Respond to what I actually said. Instead of just being a child on Twitter. You notice that I'm not fucking attacking him on Twitter? Like, what do you think, I can't do that? Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing that we did yesterday, it's online. Like, everybody's heard it.
It's there.
So there's no reason to when firsthand information is so readily available, why the choice is made to get it secondhand, especially when there's questions to be asked, is like, it's all there.
Yeah.
It's all of it's there.
But I guess I have no integrity because I don't want to wait for someone again. I guess I should have waited. I guess you're supposed to just wait for another man to make a decision when you're not going to work together anymore. You're supposed to wait. I'm not supposed to go out and say, look, this is what I want to do. I'm supposed to wait.
Right.
Until the decision's been made. And then I'll take whatever's left over. I guess that's what I'm supposed to do.
And I don't think you ever had a conversation saying, I don't want to do that show anymore. Give me the show.
The bottom line was they sat me down and said, if you weren't working with Opie, what would you want to do? Because they knew we didn't want to work together.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I would, man. I'd work with Sam. I'd love having Travis around. Like I mentioned you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's what I want to do. I said, just put me on another channel. I told Bob Eatman, get me on another channel. It was never they were going to squeeze Opie out for me. Put me on another channel. I'll go up against him. I don't care. I don't even care if he wins. I just want to have fun doing fucking radio.
That's it.
That's it.
That's what.
That's it.
It can be fun.
I would have been happy to do that.
It can be fun. I don't know. We'll just go to a couple. Scott in Illinois. What's up, Scott? Oh, sorry.
Hello, Scott.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, I wanted to tell Jim that as far as, people not showing up for your shows, my brother and I could not be bigger O&A fans. And at one point, we were going to fly to Boston. I live in central Illinois. We were going to fly to Boston and make a weekend out of seeing you perform out there. And it just didn't end up working out. Well, you end up performing 2 hours for me in St. Louis. And I haven't listened to that show in so long. We were completely indifferent to it. And we didn't end up going.
Yeah, and that's part of it. But again, to that, and that is the tone of what. And again, this is aside from people who just don't like my stand-up. I'm not saying that everyone liked my stand-up and doesn't.
A lot of people really don't like.
Yeah, I know. There's probably a better way to phrase that.
Lots. But there's a ton of people it's in the stand-up community outside of it that just I've heard it.
Yeah, no,
they don't
I understand.
Like it. They hate it. Hate it.
I understand. Believe me. You think I don't know who Sammy R is on Twitter? but like what that guy's saying. But to imply that that's blaming him, like, come on, man. Does anybody ever know me to be that fucking mentally ill that I think it's Opie Hughes' fault that I don't think? Of course not.
Right. The
show I was on was not resonating, and like the guy said, it's just that feeling that people have when they love the show so much, when that's gone because they didn't love the show. Opie did not love the show that we were doing. I did not love the show that we were doing.
You both love doing shows, not that one.
Exactly.
Right. Ron in Indianapolis.
Hey, guys. How are you guys doing this morning?
Hello, Ron.
Good, Ron.
So I just had a question, and I guess I kind of had the same question back when Ant got fired, and maybe it's too simple of a one, but I just kind of always wondered, like, why someone doesn't, like, just pick up the phone. And I'm not saying this towards, Jim or Opie, anyone in particular, but, like, if one person, because I'm, like, reading Twitter right now, and Opie's saying, someone said something, he's like, please confirm this. And it's something that was said on the radio show. And
sure.
I mean, he could go back and listen to the replay himself and confirm it rather than waiting for people to feed him information on Twitter. It's just silly.
Yeah. Why don't we pick up the phone?
Yeah, he's asking why don't you guys just talk to each other?
Because what's there to say?
Right.
Like, it's not like, in this, here's my assumption when we're going into this. They're going to keep me on board, and I assumed they were keeping him. I knew which spot I wanted. I knew which spot he wanted. It was the same spot. My solution was put me on another channel. They didn't want to do that. My solution was put us at different times. Obviously, they're going to have to do that. But I didn't tell them you have to give me more. It's not in my contract. I'm telling you, I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of contract stuff, but I couldn't get them to put that in the contract. I would love to have, but they wouldn't. Mm-hmm. So he's delusional if he thinks that we just all conspired to squeeze him out. I'm not comfortable enough with serious management to walk down and tell them, you give me this or I'm walking. I told them what I wanted.
You didn't even think they were going to keep you. You just said.
I thought they were going to let me. Bob told me about that research they had done where we were equally important to the show. I was assuming that I was gone.
Right.
Because I knew he didn't want me around anymore, and I didn't want to be around.
Right.
I'm not playing victim in this. I'm not a victim in this. Two guys didn't get along after a while.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's all that there is to it. And it's not even like this. It's like two guys didn't get along on the air. Like you weren't having fun doing a show together.
Yeah.
So it's like at that point.
You get tired of your life being dictated by someone else, and you get tired of it. So I was not going to pick up the phone and see what he's doing. I don't care what he's doing. I mean, right. I assumed he's doing something in the radio world. And I'm not saying I wish him the best in some, but I don't want to see anything bad happen to the guy. Like, I don't feel hateful towards him. But if he's going to start saying shit like I should have had integrity 2 years ago, like, I would suggest do that on the air. Because I'm going to respond. If you want to be harsh and you want to try that you want to go?
Is this your Walter White speech? Tread lightly.
No, just I'm going to respond in kind. No, just that's it. If you want to try to be nasty.
So you're saying feel free to set the pace.
Yeah. I have not been nasty. But if you want to talk about people having integrity, I suggest you really rethink that line of fucking conversation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Let's Andrew on Long Island.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Hey, I was a huge fan of you guys back in the day, but obviously we all know that the new show didn't work. But for me, what worked on the show, Jimmy, was when you and Anthony, you would say something. It was almost sort of behind the scenes. Anthony would pick up on it, and you guys would have a side conversation that just took over the show, and it just made me laugh so much. And I'm just afraid that without Anthony or somebody like that, it's going to be sort of the same thing as working with Opie. And I just hope it's not like a straight man and you. I just feel like there's got to be a third element in the mix. And I could be completely wrong with that, but that's just my feeling. And I just wanted to see, I guess you probably addressed this already, but there's no way Anthony can ever come back to Sirius. Is that a fact?
I never said there was no way he could ever come back to Sirius. I honestly don't know. I know that nobody has said anything negative about Anthony, and I know they know that we would love to at least get him on the phone. Like, they know that, and they haven't said, you can't do that. It's probably up for discussion. I don't know if he'd ever come back or if he'd even want to come back. But to address what you said about that, the guy raised a smart point. One of the things me and Ant would do, and this is where Opie got resentful instead of just realizing this is what was working on the show, is Ant's a good reactionary guy. I'm a reactionary guy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a guy who just sits down and fucking opens things up. Like, and I hate to say like we're spitball shooters, but that's kind of the way we do radio, is we fire out responses. And that's what Ant's a genius at. So we were doing that together, and Opie would get angry and feel like he wasn't being heard, instead of realizing like this is kind of what works about. This is where a lot of the comedy in the show comes from, is two reactionary guys in the back of the classroom kind of acting up. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
That was kind of what made the show work, or helped it work. It wasn't, you're not being counted, you're not being heard, Opie. It wasn't about that. It was, this is what makes me funny, and that's what makes him funny. And together, instead of resenting your role as being like, hey, I'm kind of guiding this and I'm throwing out some funny lines too, he would resent it and get uncomfortable with it and feel left out of it. And so that's where so much of that shit started. But that guy makes a smart point. Dude, and look, maybe it won't be the same chemistry that you're used to, obviously, but this is a totally new thing. Sam and I have better chemistry than Opie and I, but me and Opie were coming out of a broken three-way marriage. So maybe that's why, too.
Right. And by the way, like, again, I don't know what we're doing yet. We'll probably know what we're doing within a couple of days. I think just a couple things need to either get signed or not get signed. But I don't foresee that being a problem between you and I, if that is the way.
Because we don't have any, I guess Anthony said on his show the other day that me and Opie had, there was always a weird tension, and I don't know why Opie doesn't see it. Like, I've ruined every relationship I've ever had, dating-wise.
On purpose?
I don't know. It's a good question. But I am bad. I'm a bad boyfriend.
Right.
I'm a great friend or a good friend, but I'm a bad boyfriend.
Yeah, good.
All right, yeah, I amended it. Yeah. I saw your dumb shoulders pipe up. I said, all right, good. But
so you've destroyed all your relationships.
I have been the problem in most of my dating relationships. I've been the problem. My addictive behavior, my selfishness. How does he not see that in this particular case, what he has done to make this where it is? Like, that's all I'm saying.
And before that gets taken out of context, you're not saying this is all his fault. You're saying he plays a part the same way you play a part.
The fact that he isn't signed is his fault.
Yes.
Of course. But the fact that the show didn't work between Opie and Jim Norton is a 50% thing.
Right.
Jim Norton's 50% of that. I've never once said that another person, again, creatively ruined something I did. We didn't work well together, and I think he stepped on jokes and whatever. Maybe I think that was done partially out of anger. I could be wrong. But I never said that anything in my life was, Opie ruined that for me. Who the fuck has given more credit to Opie and Anthony as people than I have? Who has publicly said more thank yous to Opie and Anthony than I have? Jesus Christ.
Right. John in New York, you're on with us.
Good morning, you douches.
Hi, John.
Good morning, John.
Albeit it was pretty hypocritical for Opie to write the integrity statement on Twitter. However, there is some truth to that statement. Didn't you admit to the fact that it was due to money and lack of audience as to why you didn't sign with Anthony 2 years ago?
I said the fact that they could not get the same kind of an audience that we could get here, yes. And Sirius offered me more money than Anthony could offer me. Yeah, but how is that an integrity issue?
Right.
I'm not complaining about that. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, they said if him and Ant got together, would that bother you? And he said, if I hadn't any integrity, I'm not sniveling. I didn't work with it. I didn't get back with Ant. You know what I mean? Like, he's making a point that I didn't make.
Here's where it becomes an integrity issue: is if you 2 years ago signed strictly for the money, knowing that you would not be able to do a good show, then it's an integrity issue, maybe.
Right, but that's not what I'm saying.
But that's not what you did.
Yeah, no, dude, not at all. I'm not complaining about that.
Let me go.
Oh, is that guy still here? He can respond.
No,
yeah, let them respond.
Okay. Frank in Boston.
Hey, guys, how are you?
Hi, Frank.
Have you guys seen the movie This Boy's Life with De Niro?
Yes, I have, and DiCaprio and fucking Ellen Barkin.
Oh, okay, so...
Is there mustard left in that jar? Yeah.
So I see this as Sam as the young Alan Barkin, Jimmy as the young Leonardo, and Opie sitting there crying on the porch. What about me while you guys are skipping up the street?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't you remember the end of the movie where Ellen and DiCaprio left and Dwight's sitting there crying? What about me? I think if you played it, you would see exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah. I vaguely remember that. Look, man,
and it's like, but Opie wasn't having a good time with Jim.
We weren't enjoying each other. That's the truth. He literally said that like, one of the first, like on one of the early shows. Me and Ed had great chemistry. Me and Jimmy not so much. Like, but he was not wrong.
It's not the best way to position yourself.
And then he fucking and then that one time with the Esther Koo argument, we're not the close, not the close.
Right.
Like you didn't say that to me off the air.
I don't know why they called her Barkin. She's not a dog.
Fuck yeah, should have been Ellen Meowing. Go ahead, elbow to the ribs, you piece of G.
Piece of G.
So, you know, I really...
Why would you have to censor garbage?
I don't want to sit here and motherfucker... I'm not going to sit here and motherfucker Opie while he's not on the air. I'm really not. He's pissed off. He's negotiating. I get it. But just... I hope he listens to this.
Yes.
Yesterday,
please.
And yesterday, stop getting your news from Twitter. We don't communicate. You know that. I'm not motherfucking you. I will if you motherfuck me. And I'd prefer not to do that, and not even to be diplomatic. The company hasn't said don't do it. But it's like, ugh, I don't want to bash a guy that I've known for all those years. You know what I mean? I really don't. If it happens, it happens. I'll do it.
Yeah.
If he bashes me.
Yeah. I just said, Steve in Charlotte.
Yes.
Hey, guys. Good morning. Question for you. Do you think Anthony is playing the Jennifer Aniston part and sitting back and just smirking, saying, I told you so? This is Brad and Angelina all over again.
I don't know if he's saying I told you so. I mean, Ant's been pretty vocal about his relationship with Ope. I've been pretty up front about my friendship with Anthony and my feelings about Anthony. I've never hidden that. You know what I mean? If I had no integrity, I could see if I was saying, man, I'm glad you got rid of Ant. Fuck him. Like, but I never said that.
Yeah.
That's a lack of integrity, but on the air. And by the way, this is not knowing your part in things. And this is a small example. Like, Ope had told us, this is going to enjoy the one time, but with the whole Howard thing where he was fucking with him in the hallways, he would come in and say, I was saying hi to Howard, I'm goofing, I'm making it obnoxious, and blah, blah, blah. And then I go, whatever I said. And then all of a sudden, Howard bans people from the hallway. And Opie goes, well, I don't know why they would do that. Who the fuck cares about Howard Stern? And on the air, I had to say, dude, you're the one who was doing that. You said you were fucking with him. And he's like, oh, I was... But I'm like, you said one thing and then a total opposite thing, and you said both of them on the radio.
Right.
Like, yeah, how do you forget what you said? So that's an example right there, that glaring. And maybe he was playing the first one up for the air. That's what he said. Okay. But then all of a sudden he came back last week and he goes, Howard, I'm definitely the reason Howard is having people banned from the hallways. Do you remember he said that on the air? I'm the reason he's... What's the truth?
Right. Sean in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I want to say a couple things. Obviously, the show wasn't working. A couple things that I want to say is, Jimmy, didn't you go on the Stern Show? Now, you may have had O&A's blessing, or they may have said go, but didn't you go on the Stern Show right after the show went off the air? And knowing that, all Stern tried to do to ruin you guys, you just kind of ran over there. Is that some kind of integrity issue there?
I'm Sir, I've never been on Howard. Sir. I am laughing.
A lot to do with you guys.
Sir, I am laughing.
He's right, Jim.
Right after the show was off the air.
Sir, I've never been on Howard's show.
So why'd you go then?
Show.
I've never been on Howard's show, sir.
Okay, then I'm mistaken, and I apologize.
I accept your. You are, and I accept your apology.
I thought for sure you did.
Never.
I thought for sure. I'm pretty sure you did, actually.
Okay, well, you
but
be
if
sure
you
that
you didn't. That's fine.
You be as sure that as your little heart desires. I actually hadn't met Howard until we were in the hallways here. The first time I ever met, I might have said hi to Howard once at a serious event, at the McCartney event. I think we said hello. But the first time he and I actually stopped and talked for a second was me and Opie were actually in the lobby, and Opie was sitting at the table, and Howard walked by, and I said, "Hey, how are you?"
Jim, I was wrong.
No, I know you were. I didn't know you were still on the phone.
I don't know. I think Sean may. Sean, I think you may have a point on this one, actually.
And you know, it's funny. One of the things with Howard is I even said, not only did I never go on Stern, and he never asked me to come on. It wasn't like he asked me and I said no, but I never even tried when we were off the air. The only enemy of the show, quote unquote, whose show I went on that I can remember, was Lex and Terry we had fought with. And they were in Dallas, and they reached out to me, and it was a long time after the fight, and they said, "Would you like to come on?" And I said, "Yeah, as long as we can talk about what happened." And they're like, "Yeah, sure." Like they're like real radio guys. They were happy to talk about it. And we did, and we got along fine. So,
okay, what I want to say, Jim, please let me. I understand I was wrong, and I apologize.
Well, that's still out for the jury to decide, quite frankly.
Yes. Okay, but
no,
what
I
else
thought
was
for
it?
sure you did.
I'm going to do a little research myself on that.
Yeah, please do.
Please.
What I thought was, why the show didn't work was a couple of things. One, for some reason, you guys wanted to take it to an area. Now, whose decision these was? Maybe it was everyone's. Take it to an area. Always having comedians in, always having interviews, always having guests. And the best part of what your show used to be was just you guys riffing. And, we don't want it to be intellectual, knocked over the head all the time. I don't want UFC guys in all the time. I don't want, to hear...
Well, hold on, one point at a time, sir.
Thing.
One point at a time.
Well, you were doing too much intellectual stuff with UFC fighters, and it was too much.
Well, the UFC fighters this week is because they're in town. It happens to be a giant press conference. But I understand some guys don't like the fighters, and I get that. As far as the guests are concerned, I'm answering your question. Sir, I'm answering your question.
Every day.
Sir, I'm answering your question.
Sean sucks.
I'm answering your question, Sean. Jesus Christ, Howard never would have did this when I was on his show. No, and as far as the comedians, after a point, dude, I didn't book guys like Chris and Sherrod and Vic, and I'm only naming them because they were the regulars. I would never know when they were coming in, or Mark. They would just be in. Opie had that with Roland taken care of. I was very rarely consulted on that, but I liked the guests that were coming in, a lot of the guests. So that was both Opie and I, but the daily comedians that were in was him. But I would just kind of come in and see someone sitting here and, that's who's in for the day. But that became more because we weren't enjoying each other. And again, it wasn't a visceral hatred. It wasn't as fun for us. So does that answer your question a little bit, Sean?
Yeah, I think you two can work good together. But Sam, I got to tell you, your night show is the best show I've ever heard, and I hate to see that go away. It gives me something to do at night, and I'm going to miss it. But I think you two, if you can not have guests in every day, and you two just go back and forth. And Jim, I love you guys. But another thing is, I feel like a lot of times maybe you have too much coffee that you just dominate the conversation and you'll just throw stuff in. I mean, your little play on words gets old after a while. Your characters that are in your head get old after a while.
Fuck yeah, I hear what you're saying. Howard told them the same thing.
Well, there's a lot of people that don't like it.
Fuck yeah, I'm sure there are. Robin didn't like it. Jackie the Jokeman. So there's a lot of people that don't like a lot of things I do.
There's not a lot of good shows on the radio.
That's
as
right.
You probably know.
Yes, we do know. Sean.
All you got to do, Jim, is just sit back and maybe let somebody else talk once in a while.
I'm not sure what you mean about me dominating the comment. Sam is a pretty verbose young man, and Opie was pretty comfortable talking. I'm not sure what you mean, but I can't change the fact that I'm talking on with Norton and Friends with my pal Sam.
You don't always gotta be. You don't always.
Sean, I appreciate my preference.
Yeah,
my preference as we move forward is, Jim, that you continue to talk at the same amount.
Thank you, Sam.
That you've been talking.
All right, Sean. We gave you as much time. You've listed a lot of things you didn't like. I tried to address them.
Right.
You started off really on the wrong foot.
Play on words.
What's
play
that?
on words is just stupid.
How about if I play on a field or something?
Well, you think that's funny?
Fuck, I know it's funny. I know it's funny. Piece of garbage.
It's really annoying. Actually.
Yeah. You ought to see the
How
happy
about doing
faces.
it maybe a couple times a day? Can we do maybe a couple times?
No,
a
we
day?
can't be a
Not
couple. What are you trying to
constantly
suck my pecker? What are you trying to suck my fucking pecker, Sean?
Do you understand that I would pay good money to watch a live road show just between Sean and Chip? Like, Sean is the perfect audience for Chip.
Yeah, fuck yeah. He knows what he's talking about.
That's not funny. Yeah, it is.
Hey, Jim, weren't you on the fucking, whatever the show is, the Bill Stern show?
Howard is his name.
What else you got?
Research it there, Sam.
I'm fucking leveling this cocksucker.
Sean, is there any other complaints while we have Chip in here?
No, just take what I say, because a lot of us fans feel this way.
No, I don't disagree.
Oh, no.
No, I don't disagree,
Oh,
Sean.
no.
I think you're right. It's too much negativity. Awesome sauce. You don't like that?
Awesome.
Oh, I have a couple more things if you want them.
Okay.
You got to say one positive first.
Yes.
Okay. A positive is Jim is an amazing comedian. But what I don't like.
No. You can't let me thank you. You can't not let me thank you before you go on to the next. You can't say I'm an amazing comedian. You have to let me breathe and enjoy that and go, thank you, Sean. Now you can continue.
Okay, you're welcome, Jim. But the fanboy of you is another annoying thing.
What?
It seems like we have guests in just so you can get a picture, so you can get their autograph.
Yeah, there's been times where I'm too much of a fanboy. Here's the good and bad is this. There are times when I'm too much of a fanboy. People have always said to me when they've met me that I'm nice to them when they meet me, and I'm always try to be very, very respectful and courteous to fans when I meet them. Part of that is because I know what it's like to be a fan of someone else and not be treated well. So it kind of works both ways. But yeah, maybe I've done that too much. Fair enough.
All right, let's just have a great whatever it's going to be. Let's just move on, and
Sean, are you looking for a gig?
I'll never stop listening.
I'll
never stop listening. There's 2 shows, you and the Stern. There's nothing else any good on this whole Sirius except for sports. There's nothing else. Everything else is stupid. So let's just move on, and hopefully we can, pick up where we left off the good old days. So thank you guys for taking my call. It's very brave of you.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. Yeah, super brave.
I don't think it was really scary.
I kind of want to hire Sean as the new executive producer of the show.
Yeah, Jim, stop doing the thing with the characters.
Yeah, Jim, what is this I hear? Right after the show on Thursday, you went and did Howard's show? No, Sean. Okay. All right.
I might be wrong, but I still think you're wrong.
Okay, but I think you did. Oh,
it's so funny.
All right, we should take a break. We don't know what the name of the channel is going to be. Right now, it's Opie Radio. Hopefully, it'll stay as. Who cares? Opie Radio is fine. Hopefully, Opie will. I hope he signs. I would rather him be here in the afternoons than not be here.
It's up to him. I assumed he was signing all along.
Yeah. And for those of you calling in about the night show, I'll be on tonight at 9. Tonight and tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern here, so we can talk about it then. All right, we're gonna take a break. Have you been keeping up with?
I thought you were gonna say working out because I just stressed.
Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna say that.